This is the Conservative American Message, hosted by the one, the only, Cam Lau. It is Monday, August 28th, 2024, and you're listening to the 85th episode of this podcast. The French writer Anatole France said, "Stupidity is far more dangerous than evil, for evil takes a break from time to time, stupidity does not." If you support what we're doing here at the Conservative American Message, you can show us your support by giving us a 5-star rating and by following or subscribing wherever you listen. To stay up to date on everything we're doing, please follow us on social media at the Conservative American Message on Instagram and Facebook. Another major shakeup in the presidential race came this week when RFK Jr. made his big announcement. He has decided to suspend his campaign and endorse Donald Trump. He's now appeared at multiple events by Trump's side and has been publicly promised some type of position in the Trump administration. I myself was surprised by this turn of events. I figured that Kennedy did not care for Trump at all and would stay in the race through the end. Now, all of the independents and libertarians who were backing Kennedy will fall in line to vote for Trump. The way that the Democrats have ran this election is almost eerie. Kamala has still not taken any questions from the media, and it's been over a month. I don't know how she's getting away with it. They're not even really trying to campaign. This appears like a great thing for Republicans, but I'm worried that it's simply that they are confident in their ability to rig the election. It is troublesome because we know that 2020 was ridden with fraud and things have gotten worse since then. Trump cannot simply win a majority in these battleground states. He must win by a large enough margin that nothing can be questioned or cheated. I think he has potential to do it, and it seems like each day he's growing in popularity. Maybe not in the manufactured polls that the media is putting out that are clearly rigged for Kamala, but among the legitimate, real American voters, he's definitely gaining traction, especially with Kennedy behind him. Kennedy's endorsement came after careful consideration as to how his goals for this country aligned with those of the Donald. He has spoke multiple times since the end of his campaign about his priorities around chronic health, getting out of foreign wars, and securing the border. He talked about how his common sense agenda used to be the norm in the Democratic Party, but today his party is unrecognizable to him. Here was a part of his announcement.
I was a ferocious critic of many of the policies during his first administration, and there are still issues and approaches upon which we continue to have very serious differences. We are aligned with each other on other key issues like ending the forever wars, ending the childhood disease epidemics, securing the border, protecting freedom of speech, unraveling the corporate capture of our regulatory agencies, getting the U.S. intelligence agencies out of the business of propagandizing and censoring and surveilling Americans and interfering with our elections. Following my first discussion with President Trump, I tried unsuccessfully to open similar discussions with Vice President Harris. Vice President Harris declined to meet or even to speak with me. Suspending my candidacy is a heart-rending decision for me, but I'm convinced that it's the best hope for ending the Ukraine war and ending the chronic disease epidemic that is eroding our nation's vitality from the inside, and for finally protecting free speech. My joining the Trump campaign will be a difficult sacrifice for my wife and children, but worthwhile if there's even a small chance of saving these kids. Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country and our children is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other. That's why I launched my campaign to unify America. My dad and uncle made such an enduring mark on the character of our nation, not so much because of any particular policies that they promoted, but because they were able to inspire profound love for our country and to fortify our sense of ourselves as a national community held together by ideals. they were able to put their love into the intentions and hearts of ordinary Americans, and to unify a national populist movement of Americans, blacks and whites, Hispanics, urban and rural Americans. They inspired affection and love and high hopes and a culture of kindness that continue to radiate among Americans from their memory. That's the spirit on which I ran my campaign, and that I intend to bring into the campaign of President Trump. Instead of vitriol and polarization, I will appeal to the values that unite us, the goals that we could achieve if only we weren't at each other's throats.
Trump also announced a special committee that will be formed to investigate presidential assassinations that Kennedy will be closely involved with. This also includes releasing the remaining classified information surrounding the Kennedy assassinations of his father and uncle. But the current Democratic Party really is unrecognizable and un-American. I would even argue that things were far better back in 2016. They've fallen so far from anything that even resembles a value. I mean, Hillary Clinton has more value than Kamala Harris. At least Hillary was only evil. Kamala is just entirely incompetent. I would seriously choose Clinton over Harris in a heartbeat to run this country. Don't get me wrong, if Hillary had won in 2016, things would have been real bad. But at least she is someone who has held those high-ranking positions before and knows what she's doing. She's a sick, evil woman, but she's not stupid. Kamala, unfortunately, is just that, a complete idiot. She can't even speak an unscripted sentence. She has no original thoughts. She's not merely a puppet in the sense that she just does whatever she's told. I think she might literally be an inanimate object masquerading as a human. All I'm trying to say is that evil is much better than incompetence. At least an evil person's working towards something. It might be the completely wrong thing, but it's not nothing. A government that is running towards nothing is a great danger. Think of it this way. The socialists in our government are plain evil. With enough power, they would turn this country all the way communist. But that is still better than striving towards nothingness, because I'd rather be a communist than not exist at all. And that's what the nothing agenda of incompetence leads to. It leads to our fatal demise, not on purpose, but purely by accident. The DNC was a prime example of this. You can a lot more easily stomach all kinds of discussion about abortion at the Democratic Convention than you can the actual performing of abortions taking place there. Something is better than nothing, even if something is pure evil. Working towards your own selfish ambitions are still better than blindly following Satan's instructions. Fortunately, we don't have to choose between the evil and the dumb, because we have Donald Trump, who is clearly neither. But that's all I have time for. Were you offended by this podcast? Good. Thanks for listening, guys. I really appreciate you all. Have a great week, and stay conservative.